she said, just quit your job. If that's what the imbalance is because you're trying to feel like you got to carry the world, quit your job. She's like, she's literally said, in this moment, you know what I realized? That job that God blessed me with was not for me, it was for us.
Welcome back to the podcast. I started this podcast as a way to help Black men in all aspects of our lives. Studies show on average we lose 2.8 years of our life when we're under heavy stress. And I think we can gain those 2.8 years back if we express ourselves healthily. Stick with me as I interview therapists, doctors, advocates, activists, and friends about how we can be better as Black men and as a Black community. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube and following us on Instagram and TikTok, you'll definitely want to do that. Without further ado, let's get into the episode.
All right, we're here with NéAndré. NéAndré is the CEO of Black Menswear. NéAndré, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So I had a whole episode planned out. You know, things I wanted to ask you, and you know, before we even got into the episode, I know you came in and you was kind of some stuff. So if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to, right? I don't want to put you on the spot. We can always, it's a podcast. We can edit shit out, right? So, but I definitely wanted to first of all, say my condolences, bro. It's something that's definitely tough. You were telling us what you're going through, bro, and I just want to let you know this is the platform, right? Like, this is what we do, right? So I don't want you to feel like we have to go in the direction of the episode. If you do want to get some things off your chest and you want to talk about it a little bit, we can do that. If not, you want to go into the direction of the episode where we was going originally, we could do that as well. So I'm kind of want to give you the floor to figure out what you think you're interested in, bro.
I mean, I appreciate the platform. Mm-hmm. I thought about not coming.
Mm-hmm. It's tough, bro.
But if I didn't come, then what's the point of your platform? I'm not a real, I'm not a real emotional person. Sometimes shit hits you. Yesterday was my grandfather's birthday. I think he turned 81. My mom called me this morning, like 6:30. Answer the phone. Like immediately, like, hey, what's wrong? Just the way her tone was, and she told me my grandfather passed away. And at first, it was kind of like a damn, and then it settled. And it's tough. He was the patriarch. Like he's top of the chain.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so just is it's heavy. But life come at you fast. I mean, he wasn't young. He lived he lived a long life. But it's just you never ready for those moments.
Yeah.
But I'll be straight. We'll get through it.
Absolutely.
Family will come together.
Absolutely.
But man, I appreciate you letting me get that out.
No, of course, bro. Yeah, bro. Before we even started the episode, right, I was like, man, what should I do? Because I've never been in this situation before, right? Like, normally I'll script out the episode. I have 4 to 5 to 6 questions, and I know how I'm going to segue and all that kind of stuff. But I could tell how when I asked you, I said, how you doing? You said, I'm all right. And I said, you all right? And you said, I'm all right. That's a clear indicator. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially a Black man saying I'm all right, not I'm good. You know what I'm saying? That's a clear indicator. Like, yo, something's off, bro. And I don't want to go in the direction of the episode and just completely disregard what you're going through. But also, I didn't want to throw you into something, which is why I gave you the oop, like, yo, bro, whichever way you want to go. You know what I'm saying? And I think, like, with grief, it's difficult. Like, I always think about my parents. Like, I have both of my parents, they both still alive right now, but I sometimes grieve and cry about the thought of just them not being here. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, it's uncomfortable knowing that at some point in time, my dad not gonna be here, or my mom is not gonna be here. These are people that I look to, that I really love and care about. And I remember talking to my therapist, and I was like, yo, what do I do? You know, I spent time with them like I'm trying to cherish this time with them. What can I do to make sure that like when they pass, I'm ready? And she just looked at me. She's like, "You'll never be ready."
Never be ready. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Yeah.
"Damn," you know, like what the fuck? I'm paying you. You know, like I'm paying you to
Right.
give me something.
Right.
But that's the truth, right?
Right.
You got to tell me the truth. Like you'll never actually be ready. And what she told me during that time was like, "Yo, cherish the moments that you have with them. But don't beat yourself up for moments that you can't spend with them." And I think in this moment, like speaking about your grandfather specifically, I think one of the things that I've heard that helps people is talking about some of the good memories and like just the person's character. So can you speak to that just a little bit? Like what are some of the things that you feel like was imparted on you or maybe other people in your family from your grandfather?
One of the things about, like, I'm blessed and I'm fortunate that on both sides of my family, my mom and my dad, the men are present, right? And so my grandfather, my middle name is Frank after him, right? Like, again, that's my dad's dad, and while I was a kid, I traveled a lot, military. You know, my dad was in the military, so I was military brat, so I was kind of all over. But there was always this distinction of who my grandfathers are, right? And just being able to, and more recently too, being able to have these times where it's been pressed to me by my parents, my aunts, my uncles, like, yo, make sure y'all go back to Louisiana, make sure you go back to see your grandparents. So I was fortunate to be able to spend some time with him within the last 12 months, which I'm very grateful for. Because had they not told me, I get around to it. You know what I mean? But just his presence, man, and it's funny. Like now, he's been sick for a while. He's been on dialysis for a few years now, and you know, you just go and we'll sit in the house and we literally just sit. He watches TV. He's got his hearing aid in.
Yeah.
Turn it on when you want to listen. Yeah. Turn it off when you don't want to. But just being in there, like, and just seeing we walk in the house, he's like, "Oh, y'all here? What's up? I ain't seen y'all. And it's quick. How y'all doing? Good." And then everybody looking at the TV and watching the TV. Because, again, you talking to him, you don't know if he listening or not. He gonna turn it on or off.
Right.
You sit there, have a whole conversation with him. He like, "Oh, you talking to me? Turn it back off. What's up?"
Right.
But just that presence, though, always having that black male figure from start, even before that, his dad, right? All of the men in my family are there, right? And that's just something that's been passed down and passed down and passed down. Like, we're not absent. It's not in our culture. We're there.
Right.
We're present. And he was a very present person. Didn't say a lot of words. My dad don't say a lot of words. I think I'll probably talk about for the both of them. But even still, like, if I'm in a situation in the room, I'm gonna sit back and look and just observe and take things in. I get that from them.
Right.
So I mean, he just a legacy. And my boy texted me this morning, and he was just like, "You got to consider," because my best friend lost his grandfather a month ago, and I think my wife probably texted him this morning that I lost him. So he texted me on the way here. He said, "You just got to think about what they've instilled in the legacy that you're living out is a compound of what they were attempting to do."
Right.
You know what I mean? So being able to do that, so just know, he's like, might not be here, but legacy that they leaving is living on through you, it's living on through your boys. That name you carry. That Broussard, man, that Broussard name is heavy. So I'm just grateful.
Nah, that's a fact, bro. I was gonna say that too. Like, we are our parents and like our ancestors and our elders, we're like their wildest dreams. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, my dad is from Ghana. He was born in Ghana. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, he couldn't imagine doing what I'm doing right now. Like, I want to sit down with my dad and do a podcast episode, just for us to kind of talk through like his thought process and like how he was raised and like some of the things that he went through and how that has, you know, helped me to kind of navigate and be able to be somewhat successful at what it is that I'm doing. So I wanted to talk to you about that, right? Like, what are some of the things that you feel like you've really gained from the generations before you that have helped you to kind of continue what it is what you're doing, start Black Menswear, be able to quit your job, you know, and fully focus on the business side? Like, what are some of those things that you feel like really helped you?
Man, I've never seen like anybody in my lineage be lazy. Like, hard work, dedication from jump. Man, my grandfather, bro, can take a car apart and put it right back together with his own hands. Don't need no machinery, nothing. Like, I saw that early on. Anything broke, Grandpa Frank can fix it. Like that aspect and from, you know, elbows, grease, like you're getting dirty, you don't get your hands in there, you don't do what it takes. To them, that instilling upon my dad military discipline. And my dad served 21 years in the Marine Corps, afforded me the opportunity to see the world before I was a teen and change my perspective on things. But the dedication, the hard work, I mean, that's passed down to myself. That's how I got to the point of being able to leave corporate at the beginning of this year, all the dedication and hard work, understanding the balance between, I mean, I was working 60 hours a week for 5 years, trying to balance two different things, and being able to see that hard work pay off.
Yeah.
Right. It's nowhere near the end, but just understanding, you know, when you understand it, like when you go work out, right? First day in the gym, you're not swole. Second day in the gym, you're not swole. But then let's say you in there for 20 days and you start seeing that tone. Then you in there for a month and a half, and then you start seeing muscles. Then it's like, okay, my dedication is now in because I see the results.
Right.
And same thing, you know, for me, I saw the results. The hard work was paying off. I started seeing the results years ago.
Right.
And then just was able to stay at it, stay committed, stay dedicated to it, stay disciplined in it, and allowing the results to compound themselves to where now then it became a space of, I'm missing time with my family because I'm traveling too much because I'm trying to do both of these jobs at the same time. And that was a very important thing for me, was to be present, be present. My wife and my sons. I was on the road with one of my VPs in my past life in financial services, and he joked about a story about it was a rooster and a hen, and he said it was about the rooster was always gone. And then he heard there was another rooster in the hen house. And the hen was like, well, shoot, you ain't never here. I got these eggs I got to get laid. And it's kind of like, dang, you know, if you're not taking care of your responsibilities, you're on the road too much, you're gone too often, someone else could, and not saying it just specifically in that manner, but somebody else could come and fill a void that you're leaving with your family. I didn't want to have that void. And so, you know, really focusing on how can I shift that? And that's when God came in and took over.
Bro, there's a lot that you touched on that I want to get into. I think one of the first things for sure is the void, right? Because I don't think people understand, like, you can do everything that you need to do in order for you to provide for your family, but providing is more than just the financial aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes we lose sight of that as men. Is like, all right, cool. We've been conditioned, right? This is not our fault. Right, we've been conditioned by society to believe that providing means going out, working as much as possible to bring in as much bread as possible.
Yeah,
like, that's just it, right? Like, that's all you need to do. As long as you can put food on the table, everything else will take care of itself. And it's like, it kind of will, but you also have to understand, like, the route that you want your family to take and the things that you want them to experience. Like, so for me, you know, I grew up low income to middle class, right? Where my mom and my dad are basically, you know, they working a lot, right? Like, my dad wasn't really able to get a job because of issues with like his background and stuff like that. But my mom was really kind of like the matriarch in our family. She was basically the breadwinner. And so she would work a lot, right? So she kind of assumed the role that my father, you know, in traditional relationships where you're supposed to be like the provider, she kind of assumed that role. And so in that situation, what ended up happening was I'm barely seeing my mom growing up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm growing up where it's like, I know my mom, I know who she is, I know that she works a lot, but as a child, I still need that physical love. I still need that nurturing. Right. And my dad is trying his best to give it to me, but dads are dads. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so I love the fact that you talked to like why you felt the need to make that transition, because I think a lot of times, especially for guys like us, it's like, yo, you are in a company and you working a 9 to 5. It's like, yo, you just got to make it work. Right. And sometimes that make it work can be 10, 15, 20 years. Yeah. And then you look at your family, it's like people don't even know who you are. Right. You know what I'm saying? They don't really have a relationship with you. And that's something that I hold that I find very, very important. Like, you see my girls here with me, right? Like, I think it's important that when we build and we do things, that if we can't always be present, that we at least bring the people that matter to us along. That's true. You know what I'm saying? So that they can see what the process is and understand what it is that we're doing. Because like that family time is very, very important. Like time is very, very important. That's the only resource that you can never get back.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, what's the point of doing all this if you're going to sacrifice all of that time and not be able to get that time back with your family, bro?
Yeah, and how do people know you love them if you don't sacrifice your time to be with them? So you brought up a point about, you know, as men, as fathers, we feel as though, or as anyone, you feel as though the way that you provide is financially. I left a lot of money on the table.
I can imagine.
To leave my job that I had worked to get to. But it was, God had something greater for me. And one of those things that was greater for me was my family life. Because, and it's funny how God will work, right? So I pray for balance. I pray for clarity. I pray for the ability, God, to do what you've called me to do with my mission with Black Menswear and be the best father and husband that I can be. 3 weeks later, God blesses my wife with a job that pays her 3 times what she was making. I go to Ghana. I come back and say, I'm leaving my corporate job, right? Because I was determined and focused on how do I do these? The money gonna come. I ain't worried about that. Because when you walk in your vision, you walk in your mission, you focus on things and God takes care of everything that's around it. The first thing that he did was, he's like, oh, you feel as though you can't leave this job because of the money? Boom, I replaced it. Now it's up to you to take that step on faith that I'm gonna take care of the rest of the stuff. And it was really a point where, you know, again, my boys, I'm missing baseball game, basketball game. I'm on the road, you know, and for me, that's not, I don't want to hear about a game. Oh, you know, boy hit 2 home runs today, and you know, caught 4 out. Like those stuff that I want to experience. I don't want to hear about them. And you know, when you take a look in the mirror, look at those things straight on. But then when you pray about it and God gives you confirmation, you got to go.
Yeah.
Right. And that was for me. It was a big thing. I prayed about it. We prayed about it. God revealed it, and then it was like, are you gonna still be in your manhood, or are you gonna step out on faith and allow for me to guide this ship like you're supposed to? And bro, ever since I did that, man, left in January, man, when I tell you the first quarter, where we at right now, where we already have lined up through the end of the, my God, like it's like a finally. I've been trying to tell you this for a while, but now I have the opportunity to fully focus on the vision, because you know, when you work for somebody else, you owe them your time. They're paying you. You owe them your time. They're giving you benefits. All of these things that you owe them. And it's funny, like when people try to say, like, I'm gonna quit my job today. I don't recommend it if you don't have a plan in place, or you haven't gotten everything that you're supposed to get out that job.
Right.
Everything works in longevity, and people oftentimes think short term. Oh, I'm gonna leave this job today because I want to jump into this entrepreneurship journey. Well, with this job that you're in today, have you gotten the technology education that you're supposed to get? Have you gotten the management training that you're supposed to get? Are you learning how to work with other people the way you're supposed to, right? Do you understand the marketing that you're getting out of this job, right? And being able to understand that and take everything from that and then compound that into where you want to go. I think people leave a little bit too early, but that's another conversation in itself.
Yeah, man, you're speaking on a lot of good stuff, bro. Because I'm in that period right now where I'm contemplating. I'm playing around with the idea of quitting my 9 to 5. I've had a few episodes where people are like, yo, bro, you need to just go out on faith. This is what I did, and things worked out for me. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I get it. I understand. And I'm not like strapped for cash or like anything like that. Like, if I were to quit, it wouldn't be like that type of situation. But I also know what having a 9 to 5 provides me. It provides me the comfortability of being able to operate this, and not saying that I'm operating at like leisure and just doing things whenever I want to do them. I got 3 podcasts scheduled out today. You know what I'm saying? We in Dallas. It's a whole different state. I'm putting my pedal to the metal. I'm making sure I'm doing the things that I should be doing. It's just that thinking through the idea of like, what I would need in order for me to kind of like take that step.
Right.
And so I kind of wanted to ask you that, right? Because you talked about it a little bit. What do you feel like for you? I know you prayed a lot, but what was that confirmation for you? Because that's kind of what my prayers are right now. Like I'm talking to God. I'm like, yo, God, listen, let me see a sign, something.
Yeah.
You know, I need to see something. I don't want to just listen to people, although I know you do send people. What was that confirmation like for you?
Man, it's funny because it really was a series.
Okay.
Right? And I'll take you back last year. Mm-hmm. I was 33. My 33rd birthday, I was going to my Jesus year. My 33rd birthday, I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, I'm at this time too. I'm fully in. This was 2021, right? September 1st, 2021. And I hit, again, career-wise, hit my stride. I'm in it. And at the same time, Black Menswear, I'm in the middle of a 10-city tour that's going amazing. Our platform is growing. Having more conversation with people that I hadn't had before, right? And so I'm in this space, and I'm like, all right, got 33. By the time I'm 35, I need to have this thing figured out. Like 35, bro, you don't need that long. So shortly thereafter, and the reason why I got to that point too, the month before that, my job was changing compensation structure just a little bit.
Okay.
Right? So they were going to reduce my compensation for what I was already doing and successful at as a way to encourage me to go find new business, which would then take me out of the home more.
Right.
Because now the comfort area that I put myself into, where I was like, I built this up and now it's doing what it's supposed to do. I'm going to take a little bit away from you on that to go do more, start over new relationships, spend more time out there, which I understood, corporate structure, I get it. They're trying to continue to expand the business. So then I was like, all right, so that was sign one. So then I say God, all right, I want to do this and by this time. I was like, okay. Sign two, I'm going through this phase of I didn't get a promotion that I felt I needed because I wanted to go from where I was to the director role, right? I done done all this stuff. I've launched a successful initiative for a Fortune 1000 company off the ground to help support my community, Blacks in financial services. Gave me the reins. The organization gave me the reins, gave me the budget, whatever I needed to do. Completely launched this initiative, and then got bypassed for a promotion because my sales numbers were flat. And I said my sales numbers were flat because I dedicated a lot of my time to lifting this initiative that's now a company-wide initiative. Bro, I was speaking to the board of directors for this company, like all of this. It's like, wow, man, I got kind of hurt.
Yeah.
Because my numbers are great. But because it was like, well, your numbers were great last year too. So it's kind of like that. And I was like, dang, well, I thought y'all were going to take into account this work that, that y'all asked me to do and I brought to y'all and like this. It's like, okay. That was sign number two. I was like, man, that's not comfortable. It's like, well, you can't get passed up for CEO when you are the CEO. You know what I mean? So at that point, then it became all right, you're still working for somebody. So you can't be upset at the system that you're a part of. You're working in their system. They'll give it to you when they want to give it to you.
Right.
All right. So that was number two. Then we go into the summer of this past year. So this was September, August. They had the conversation. They lowered the comp structure. September was my birthday. This happened in January because you're going into a new quarter. Like, okay, this is my time. Man, they're gonna get to me. The year and it was like, nah, not quite. I was like, damn, okay. So fast forward to May. So in May, my wife gets a call. They called her. They said, "Hey, we're calling from this hospital. Your name was brought up. We'd be interested if we would want to know, are you interested in this position?" My wife was like, "Yeah, I'm interested in this position." She goes through this process. She gets off the phone with the person, the headhunter. She's like, "I applied for that position last month, and I got an automatic decline." Said the system automatically sent this message to me saying, "Oh, well, we see your resume. It's a good resume, but we're going to go in a different direction." So she gets this call. She gets this call because the in-house counsel for the hospital network said, "Hey, we need to get her because anytime we're always dealing with her. So if we can get her here, we won't have to deal with this issue anymore." So she was recruited by name to come over here. She went through the interview. So this process started in May. Come June, my church. Shout out Grace Cathedral Church of God in Christ. Shout out Superintendent Nathaniel Green. All right, so we have this, and I joined the church on Easter last year. All right, so let me just this is April, right? Right before my wife gets this opportunity. So it's April. We joined this church. I had been seeing it online. We attend. I'm like, yo, this is where I need to be. So June, we have what's called Faith Night. And Pastor said, man, what I want to do, I want everybody to plant a seed bigger seed that you've ever planted. Not for us, like not for me as a pastor, that the money's going to go directly to paying off this church, but it's going to be a seed into your future. God's going to do something for you, right? I'm like, all right. Again, at this time, we good. Like, money ain't no issue. Let's make a seed like a seed and like a stretch seed. Because I'm like, I got it. Gotta make it. It'll come back. And in that moment, when we were getting ready to plant this seed, Pastor said, look at the person next to you and tell them what do you want specifically this seed to do for you. My wife looked at me and she said, I want this job. And now she's going through the interview, right? It's like, I want this job. I want this job. This job is actually the job that I wanted when I was in college, why I went to law school, why I was a nursing background. This job is perfect for me. I said, I want clarity. I want to be able to do what I'm supposed to do from a work perspective, but I want clarity on how I can bounce out with my family. Right? 2 weeks later, my wife got the offer. Not only did she get the offer, they offered her. She wrote on the board in the house what she wanted to make. They offered her more than that, and they offered her a bonus, a guaranteed bonus every year. Tripled my wife's salary, right? Damn. In 2 weeks after this. Fast forward, we go to Africa. We go to Africa excited. Like, oh, cool, right? Man, we go to Africa. That just changed everything.
It does. It does that.
We went to Accra and we went to Kumasi. And in Accra, obviously we went to Cape Coast. Being in slave castles, man, that's different.
It does that for you.
Yeah, it's different. And I'm sitting here, and one of the moments I'm sitting there, there's tourists there too, right?
Yeah.
European tourists.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're having the time of their lives. And I'm sitting here looking at y'all like, what about this shit is funny? Like, why are y'all like, this is so exciting for y'all, and y'all are taking happy pictures? I'm like, no, this is heavy for me.
Right.
All the people that I'm with, this is different for us.
Yeah.
But y'all are like, oh, this is, and like for me too, that was kind of like a slap in the face moment of just even the current historical context of where we were, that they didn't understand that. And I'm like, nah, this is where I come from, right? This is ancestry that for those that are here in the U.S., our people made it. Like they were on this boat for a long time and made it all the way to the U.S. And then they got here and went through all the stuff that they went through for me to be able to be in this position that I'm at, that I'm coming back here on my own dime, you know what I'm saying, with my homies. Like that's, for me, it was different. And leaving there from the castles, obviously, like we heavy, it's heavy. My boy is building a school out there in Accra, in Kumasi. So we go out there and we visit the school, rural area, obviously. And just the welcome reception that we got from the village, it's like, wow. You know what I mean? Like people are appreciative of, and we say the small things, but they're appreciative of life. Yeah. So that was another thing for me, right? Prioritizations. I see it everywhere. Everybody out there hustling, trying to get it, right? Here, we got a lot of complaints about stuff. Like, I feel like it's a different mindset. Yeah. You see it, right? I'm in a restaurant out there eating. Homie come up to me like, hey man, you Black Menswear. I was like, yeah. He's like, bro, you are Black Menswear. Like he just like lights up. Yeah. And for me, I'm like, wow, I've never been here. And to see, for me, it wasn't that he knew me, it was that he knew the movement.
Right.
He knew what we were attempting to do, and he just goes into this like, man, I follow the page, and it just gives me so much optimism, so much hope, like about what I can do and about what black people. Last aspect of that, two more points, right?
Go ahead.
It's a long compound for me as to how I got to that point. I'm sitting there having drinks at Republic in Accra, and I'm sitting there talking with the owner of Republic, and he's like, "Man, I went to school in the U.S." He said, "Me and my brother moved back here shortly thereafter, and the thing that I can tell you about you guys that's a little different than us," he said, "Man, in America," he said, "you guys treat everything that's important as urgent." He's like, if you treat everything that's important as urgent, some of those things that are important take time to develop, take time to cultivate, and then they take time to understand. If it's urgent, you do it, you get it over with, and you go to the next urgent thing. And like that hit me because I'm literally sitting there talking to him and I'm listening to him, but I'm also thinking about, okay, man, shoot, I got to make sure that, that sales deal comes through when I get back. Did I check my emails today? What time is it back home? Right? These are things that are going through my mind. And when he said that, I was just like, whew, that was one of those statements that, dang,
it changes how you think.
Yeah. And last thing of that was a cementing. My wife and I got into it while we were in Africa because I was being a man, right? Being a hard, my way or the highway type for no reason. And so in my feelings, I was very mean, very rude to her on, say, Thursday night. Woke up Friday morning, said, "I'm sorry, right? Last night was out of character. I was tripping." She's like, "Nah, I don't know what that was. That ain't you." It's like, I can't deal with that. So whoever that was, he got to go. And I just broke down at that point. I broke down because I said, "Babe, that wasn't even really addressed towards you. That was addressed toward my situation." I said, "I really feel like I'm trying to balance all this stuff, right? All this stuff, this business, my job. I'm trying to balance everything. I mean, I'm just sitting there I don't know what to do. I love you. I never want you to feel as though I'm not the protection. Like, you can't be safe here." And she said, "Just quit your job. If that's what the imbalance is because you're trying to feel like you got to carry the world, quit your job." She's like, she's literally said, "In this moment, you know what I realized? That job that God blessed me with was not for me, it was for us. It was for us. Quit your job." She's like, "I already know. I see the vision with Black Menswear. I see what that." She's like, "We're in Africa right now."
I get
chilling. You know what I mean? Like, not chilling. She's like, "I see where this is going. Quit your job." And that was, for me, that was the moment that took all of that to get to. I came back July 14th. I got back to the U.S. Man, July 18th, I sent an email to my my CEO's assistant saying I need some time on his calendar. He gonna be in Baltimore. I need to come see him. Went and sat with him, told him. He's like, I respect everything that you say. I respect you as a person, and I love that. He said, "When you want to leave?" I told him, I said, "The end of the year." He said, "Okay, cool." Let me stay 4 more months after that point, knowing that I was leaving. But that's how I got to that. That's how I got to that. For me, it was sign after sign after sign, and the guy had to break me all the way down to where I felt like, bro, you're still bringing this upon yourself. You don't want to feel like you got to weight on the world on your shoulders. I ain't tell you had to do it. Like, I didn't tell you had to do all that.
Right.
And in that moment, it was a wow. And that release, man. When I tell you, my wife told me in February or March, she's like, "I like you. Like, I like you again." She said, "It's been a while since you've been nice, happy. It's been a while, like years." I was like, "Damn, you put up with me for that long?" Like, out of love, because she was like, "I love him, but he got too much going on." And she was like, "I haven't seen you this happy since we were dating 13 years ago." Wow. Like, once I started this corporate structure and got into this corporate world, it was so get it. eat them. They gotta know you here. Like that dog mentality, and they carried that into my family. And so I'm just grateful that she stuck around with me, to leave my ass. But two, that through her, God spoke to me, right? You talk about hearing, a lot of people talk to me along the way. And a lot of people poured into me, which is great. But it wasn't until I heard the voice of God through her that it made sense.
Oh my God, bro. Man, bro. There's so much stuff that you touched on that I'm just like thinking to where I'm at right now with stuff, bro. Like, yo, I'm working right now where I have a 9 to 5 and I run the business, bro. We post 4 times a day. You know what I'm saying? We do a variety of posts. We do affirmations. We do 2 reels. We do carousel slide posts. That takes a lot of time and energy to plan out. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a team of 3 people right now, technically 5, right? And so planning out and structuring a platform takes a lot of time and energy. Yes, it's not even, I can't even call it a job anymore. Yeah. It's not a job. Yeah. It's more than that, right? And so when you have that, when you're building a platform out that's helping Black men and you understand the importance of that and you understand that that's the passion and the drive that you've been given, and then you also have the 9 to 5 thing, it becomes very, very, very heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't even estimate the amount of hours that I work a day, week, month, whatever the case may be, right? Like if you add in a podcast on top of that, scheduling podcast episodes, scripting episodes, recording the episodes, the commute, bro, it gets hectic. Yep. Everybody can't do this. No. You know what I'm saying? And so what ends up happening is like I have moments where it's like, I'm like, bro, I haven't had like 5 minutes to myself for the whole day, unless it was in the morning when I did the morning meditation. That was the only time I really had 5 minutes to myself. And then my girl will call, like this is literally a situation. You know, I'm going to get food, right? Went to get Papa John's, and I'm coming back home from Papa John's. You know, when you're driving back home, you just want to chill for a little bit, right? You just want to relax, right? And so that's the only time that I'm getting to like really like wind down. Yeah. Like I've had all this stuff, all these decisions I've had to make, emails I've had to answer, all this stress that has been on my mind the entire day, and she calls, right? Yeah. And immediately I decline the call because I'm like, I'm listening to music, I'm trying to chill. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. She calls again, I'm like, fuck. Yeah. And it's not her. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's everything that's going on. So I answer the phone and I'm mad. Yeah. But I'm not mad at her. I'm mad at the fact that I wasn't able to get time for myself in the day, and that's coming out in the way that I'm interacting with her. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And so like that same situation that you had in Ghana, I had that recently. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm like, yo, bro, you're stressed out, and not because you have to be, but because you kind of put yourself in this position. Yeah. And now that's what really made me start thinking about like the quitting my job aspect, because it's like, yo, this money is good and it's helping you, it's helping you to feel more comfortable and all that kind of stuff. But what is it costing you? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, because money costs you something. Yeah, right? We talk about time, but it's not just time that it costs you. What is that time that you're investing into that job costing you, right? And it costs you so many different things, from relationships to your mental. And then also, like when you have a business and other things that you can be putting your time into, it's costing you the profits or the gains that you could be making by investing that time into that thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
2021, I had 3 panic attacks.
Really?
High stress. Yeah, bro. Yeah. I was sitting there. I'm sitting, and this is late nights. So I'm up 11, 12, finishing my day job, just starting Black Menswear work, right? I'm sitting there, bro. I'm like, oh, man, whew. And my watch, my Apple Watch, I look down and I can feel it. My body's like, and I look down, bro. My heart is beating 190 beats per minute, and I'm sitting here, sitting down. I come on, hey, babe, come here. So she's like, has this happened before? I was like, yeah, I've had my heart like, I just see. Because back in my younger days, I used to smoke a lot. Mm-hmm. So I know when I smoke, heart rate increases because you start getting paranoid and shit. so I was like, oh, it's just a byproduct of, it just happens. Mm-hmm. She was like, how, like, has this happened recently? I said, yeah, a couple weeks ago, I was sitting there and I was like, it was like 175. Come on, my watch alerts me like, your heart rate is going really fast here. And she's like, all right, let's start writing this down. Man, in 30 days, I had wrote down 3 times. She said, NéAndré, you're having stress attacks, panic attacks because all the stuff that you feel like you have to get done today. And for me, I was like, wait, for real? She's like, yeah, you can have a heart attack at any moment because of how, like, it was one time it was over 200 beats a minute. I'm sitting there at my computer. I'm running, not doing physical activity, I'm sitting there. And she's like, you need help. That's when I got my assistant. That was my first step too. I had the money, I had the resources for it. And I just, I just thought I can do everything. She's like, no, you need somebody to offload some of the stuff. I haven't had one since then.
Right. Nah, that's beautiful, bro. Like, I wanted to tap into that and touch on that. Like, I think a lot of times as Black men, we get comfortable doing everything by ourselves.
Yeah.
But when you're building something that's bigger than you and you have a mission behind that, especially with something that God is calling you to do, most of the times, God is not going to call you to do something by yourself.
For real.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be resources that you need to tap into. And when you're not understanding your limitations, it's hard for you to then figure out how to delegate. You know what I'm saying? So can you speak to that too? Because one of the things that I love about your org is it's not just you. Like, Evan Marshall. Evan plays what role? COO, right? I met Evan at Black Men's Summit. I didn't even know he had anything to do with Black Menswear. He just came over, he was dapper, we were having a conversation. Evan's very, like, extroverted, right? Where I'm introverted.
Yeah.
So he came over and he's pulling me out of my shell. I don't even know if he knew that, right? So we having a conversation. He's like, yeah, I'm the COO. And I'm like, oh, so y'all actually have a structure around this. And I think a lot of times what ends up, like the myth that's told about us as Black men is that we don't know how to work together.
Right.
We don't know how to, like, let things go. Right. So can you speak to that? Like, how did you and Evan kind of figure that out? Because I think that needs to be told as well.
So great thing about Evan and I, like, that's my guy. So Evan and I have been knowing each other since 2011, homies. And so he's one of the first people I told about Black Menswear when I was getting off the car. I said, man, because he and I had past relationship for another social platform that we elevated and got to where it is. And so I was talking with him, rapping. I said, man, I got to do something different for my people. Right? I got to do something different. I'm going to start this platform. I'm just going to focus on putting positive content around Black men out, just grabbing people's stuff. And he's like, okay. He's like, bro, I love it. And then Evan gave me the bright idea of, well, this is great, but he's like, Dre, you're going to be like everybody else's platform if you just reposting everybody's content. He said, you got to own your content. So you gotta go. And that's when I started thinking about photo shoots. So that was, my first flash mob was from him saying that, because he's like, you got to figure out a way to make your own content. I was like, all right, well, shoot, let me do a photo shoot. Then shoot, let me do these flash mobs. Oh, this hidden. Like, oh, dudes are coming out, like all this. And then so 3 years into the organization, I was like, yo, Evan, bro, I got to have you. You got to come on. I got to have you, right? Because your mindset is different than mine, right? He had advertising background. I'm all marketing and sales. He's advertising. He understands the greater scope of what brands and stuff are doing. And so, pulling him in, I mean, he was like, yeah, of course, bro. Obviously he didn't start as a COO. I guess technically I started as a CEO, but I still had to grow into that. You know what I mean? One of the biggest things that I got from Rich Fresh, designer Rich Fresh, we had a moment, man. He was in Dallas a few years ago, and he said, Dre, man, my business took off when I built my team. And I built my team in a space that allowed each person to thrive in whatever their expertise was. But you have to trust the person that you put in those roles, because you as a CEO do not need to spend your time micromanaging anybody in any role. My boy BJ told me this. He said, you have to spend more time working on your business than in your business, right? And so taking these things that are piecing together, it's like, okay, who are the right people? And praying on that too. Who are the right people that are around me that can structure, that can add structure to this organization, right? To your point, people tell us we can't work together because they've never seen us work together, even though we do it a lot.
Right.
And so being able to start to understand my strengths and weaknesses as a good leader, you have to understand where your weaknesses are.
Right.
A lot of leaders just focus on their strengths. No, you have to understand your weaknesses because that's how you balance out by the right people that you put in that can then fill in where you're weak.
Right.
Or where you're working, where you're developing.
Right.
And so from that space, first person I brought on was Evan. Creative direction. I was blessed to find Rock Mitchell through Odell Dickerson in DC. Odell and I had a great relationship. I was going to DC Odell's in Baltimore. I was going to DC for a flash mob. I said, hey, yo, I need photographers, I need videographers. He said, yo, you got to hit up my guy. That cosign from Odell to Rock, then I saw his spirit. We just kind of kept talking. I was like, hey, yo, I need you as my creative director. I can keep doing this myself, or I can pass it off to someone else because that's how we continue to expand. So now that I don't have to think about this aspect of this, I don't have to think about the advertising components on us and then the outreach component, because that's when Evan became like, yo, we're gonna start selling these components around the flash mob, around these weekends. That was his expertise. Then I needed help administratively, right? That's when I happened upon Taryn. I happened upon Taryn because I was in a cohort that talked about getting a virtual assistant. My virtual assistant ended up being my physical assistant, right? And so just being able to balance that out. So now I have administration taken care of. I have creative taken care of. I have outreach taken care of. Now marketing, right? That's where my brain is. So I take the lead on that. But then I find individuals who I can then bring on as interns, marketing managers, continue to develop and grow, right? I understood the only way that I can expand is by having other people. Otherwise, we can only go as far as we can go. There's only so many hours in a day for me to operate within, and having the right people and knowing that there are other people that are great. CPA, I don't need to be doing my finances every day.
Right.
Got a CPA to do that. And a CPA that I send my invoices to, that does my bookkeeping, that does my invoicing, that tracks my expenses every month. It's like, Dre, what was this? Right? Does the reconciliations. It's not my strength. I can do that. I've been in financial services forever, but time, right? And so I think it's very important that we don't take the weight of everything to have on us. I think a lot of that is just because when it's your baby, it's your baby.
Yeah.
But maturity gets you out of that. And that was for me. I had to mature over time to be able to get to that point.
I love that. Yo, you definitely touched on a lot, bro. Like, just the fact of like putting people in the right positions and then being able to delegate. I think that's one thing that I'm figuring out as I like expand the business is like I have an editor, right? And he came to me. I've been giving him a lot of work because, like the podcast and he got YouTube videos. I do podcast features. So it's like he's clipping all these things up, right? And I can forget how much work it is because I'm not doing it. And so he had a conversation with me the other day where he was like, yo, bro, like, we need somebody else, right? Like, we need to add somebody else to the team. One, in that moment, I felt so bad because I'm like, yo, I've been the employee that's been getting overworked, and I know how that feels. I never want to have a business where that's happening. You know what I'm saying? So I felt bad in that moment. Two, I also felt good because he felt comfortable enough to have that conversation with me. You know what I'm saying? Where he was able to understand like nothing bad is gonna happen from having this conversation, and that I can be candid with Kizzo and we can really figure out a solution, bro. So I appreciate you talking about delegating because that's something that I'm trying to figure out right now is like just delegating to the right people, who to bring on. And like you talking about your business structure, like the COO, creative director, CPA, these are all people that I need to kind of figure out and find. So I wanted to ask you, like, how did you find them? Did you go searching, or was it kind of like put in your lap?
Man, everything that I've found has been, for me, really has been a godsend, right? Again, my COO was a good buddy of mine. So then I brought him into the organization because, again, I understood. We spent time, like just a homie, you know what I'm saying? So we spent time, and I knew what his abilities were. So when I got to the point that I needed to expand that way, boom, bro, I would love you to be a part of this, right? The creative was a referral from somebody who I knew their spirit. I found my assistant, who now has been elevated to chief of staff. I found her through a referral because I was in a cohort program. That cohort program, again, some of the CEOs were talking about, how they help to expand their business. And one thing, like, my virtual assistant is just somebody that can offload 10 to 15 hours a week of tasks that I find myself, email follow-up, appointment setting, travel scheduling, technology inefficiencies. Okay, that's stuff I'm dealing with. So I say, hey, can you send me the link to that? So I'll go on there. I go and have it. It's an organization out of, I think, the DMV area called Extra Hands. It's a Black-owned virtual assistance company, and they go have a conversation with the CEO over there and ask me a number of questions, what you're looking for, this and that, and he sends me 3 resumes, and those I'm like, okay, I like these 2, this one not quite much, and then I have a conversation with both of them, and then boom, Taryn and I just click. Yeah. You know what I mean? And she started as a virtual assistant, but a year and a half later, it's much more than that, right? She's helped with my health because she's relieved me of this extra 10 to 15 hours a week that I was doing of follow-up work, of those appointment settings, of those meeting notes, like those things that I needed help with. She was able to step in there, right? And then I just as you build that relationship, I'm like, oh, you ain't going nowhere.
Right, we need you.
I need you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now, as you got to a space of comfort, I've had other people that have been in a part of the organization that ain't here no more.
Right.
That sometimes, too, I tell you, people will tell you stuff about people, and you feel so much like, nah, that ain't gonna happen to me. And it does end up happening to you. It might not be the exact same way that it happened to somebody else. You got to hear those things.
Yeah.
But for me, it's trust factor, right? It was definitely a trust factor. And now everybody that I've got on the team has been here for at least a year and a half. You know what I mean? And to your point, having the ability to have tough conversations with people as a leader, that's a skill set that not everybody has. I don't have that, or I have it now, but that's something I had to work on, something I had to develop. You got to be able to pull the personal out of it and have a business conversation.
Yeah.
And say, well, all right, well, this is, I love you. This is a business conversation though, right? We got to talk about this, and this.
Right.
Right. And so being able to do that, but everybody that I've been able, fortunately, that are here today are with me for the long haul. And now too, it's kind of comes back to this weight on my shoulders again, but it's not as heavy because I don't have everything going on. But now it's like, yo, I got to make everybody millionaires now. You stuck around, you've been through it when it's producing revenue, it ain't producing profit, right? You've been through that, you see the vision, you've been through the ups and through the downs. Now it's on me to make sure that we all eat. And then because now they've given me the ability to flourish the organization. I see where they are, and how do I put them in positions to give them the ability to flourish on their own outside of the organization too. Right now it's reciprocating back. How can I do that? But everybody came to me. I believe I pray often, bro.
Yeah.
I pray a lot just because I know God ain't the world gonna steer me wrong. God ain't. And so as long as I'm talking with him, subtle conversations, tuned in, man, he gonna tell you what you need to hear.
Right.
So that's really how I found the right people.
Yeah, that's facts, bro. You gotta stay prayed up, bro.
Absolutely.
You gotta stay prayed up. I remember before I started Express Yourself Black, man, I ain't prayed. I prayed, but I didn't pray a lot.
Right.
Bro, starting a business, you got, especially when it's like your passion and it's what you've been put on this earth to do, you have to stay prayed up.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very trusting person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the platform was expanding quicker than I realized the influence that we actually had. And what I mean by that is, like, I would see 20K followers and just think, oh, that's whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? But somebody else sees that and they're like, oh,
Right.
I can get clout off this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so people hitting me up and they want to do this and they want to do that and they want to work and they want to partner and blah, blah, blah. And I'm very trusting. Oh, you in the space? It's mental health. We doing it for Black men. I'm assuming we all in alignment and in agreement. And I learned that lesson that just because y'all in the same space, y'all doing the same work, doesn't mean that there's alignment there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like people can want to get to a place, but doesn't mean that the way and the route in which they want to get there is in alignment with the way that you want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a certain level of, it's not micromanaging, it's attention to detail, especially when it comes to Black men. Because I think we've been overlooked for so long when it comes to just building products out, building out platforms and solutions for Black men. A lot of times these things don't really prioritize us and our experiences, right? And I don't want to be another platform that just does what it needs to do to get by.
Yeah.
Like, nah. And so when I'm bringing people on, I expect a certain level of attention to detail as well, right? Let's not just do the bare minimum. Right? We can do the bare minimum and make revenue, right? But it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about making sure that whoever we have that gets onboarded to whatever service we have, whether it be Safe Haven, I don't care if it's even as low level as the merch, they all get a great experience. And sometimes people, when they're not at the head, right, when they're not the CEO, right, when they're not the one that built it from the ground up, they don't have that same, sometimes people don't have that same thought process about it. And I think what you talk to, which is very important, is not just building this for yourself, right? And that's what I tell my friends all the time. Like I bring my friends in on business ventures all the time. I have a certified credit repair specialist inside of Safe Haven, which is our holistic healing platform, because we understand that, yes, we can connect Black men with resources. Yes, we can connect Black men with therapists and coaches and all these different kind of things to help them with their mental health. But if you can't buy things, if you're not financially stable, I can help you feel at peace all I want. But at the end of the day, you're still going to be at war because you understand that you're not in a position where you can be able to support yourself. Right. You're in survival mode, right? And so what I have is a certified repair specialist inside of Safe Haven that helps Black men to repair their credit, because that's a big thing, right? If you don't have your credit right, you really can't do much. You really can't be an individual, because you're always going to need a cosigner or something like that when it comes to that situation. And so I'm saying all that to say, like, bringing the right people on will really help you to elevate your business. And I think what you spoke to is very important about not just elevating your business for yourself, but elevating it for the people that are around you and helped you to build it to where it's at right now. Because I think sometimes we can get lost in the thought process that, like, this is mine. No, I'm saying, like, I want this. One thing that really hit me, I saw this on I've heard somebody say this to me before, but I saw it on social media. You know, social media content sometimes hit different with the music and all that kind of stuff, right? He was like, yo, would you rather a piece of a watermelon or 100% of a grape? Right? And the thought process is sometimes you have to divvy up so that you can be able to expand and scale, right. Versus keeping 100% of the thing that you that you have, right? Because when you have the right people around you, you can really scale out more. Absolutely. Right? And I think we need to get into that thought process, bro. One of the things you do too that I want to touch on, you correct yourself a lot when you speak. It's a really good thing, a really good habit that you have. I don't know. I want to speak on it. I don't know if you even noticed that you do it. You said weak earlier when you were talking about like weaknesses. You said weak, but then you're like, no, not weak. Something that I'm working on, developing. Yeah. Then you said forced. You said, no, not forced. I'm blessed to have this. Well, how important do you think it is to be mindful of what it is that we say and what it is that we think?
Words have power. Every word you say has power, and if you don't believe that, talk to your kids any kind of way. You know what I mean? In their infant stages, you realize the words that you have and how they land on them. For me, I'm a very cognitive person. I'm always thinking about what's going on, always. And so with that aspect to things, you hear me because I don't speak for others. I also speak for myself, and I speak to myself. And so when I hear stuff, I was like, well, I remember this was 2018, 2019, Black Menswear was just kind of getting started, and people were asking me, Like at that time, people were asking me like, "Oh, we went viral one time. Like, are you quitting your job?" It's like, nah, no.
I get those questions.
Yeah, like, no, I'm not. And they would ask, well, why? And I said, I fear. Bro, I literally one day I heard myself. I said, "Nigga, you said I fear like 5 times today. Stop saying it." Cognitive, it was my cognitive. I was thinking, I was like, I played it back. I said, bro, I fear like a lot today. I don't fear nothing. I got God on my side. And if I'm putting that out, does that person actually believe that I actually have God on my side if I talk about how much I fear? So then it wasn't just an attack on me, it was an attack on God too. So I had to take that word out of my vocabulary. But I literally caught myself that day and I never say that again. And I'm always thinking about, again, my words have power. And now I'm in a space and in a position to where people that I don't even know latch onto my words. So I want them to hear the most positive. My platform is all for positivity.
Right.
And so if I say something that's slightly negative, how do I correct that and turn it into a positive? Now, granted, I've had leadership training, corporate background, right? I've had leadership training. I've had speech training. I've had presentation training. So these are all things that I've gained along the way too. Again, why it's good to balance that corporate, because they'll give you free training. You know what I mean? And so it's up to you to take that with you. But those are things that I've learned along the way is my words lands. I'm a sales guy too. I had background in sales. So I have to think about, if I say this to this person, is it landing on them the way that I want them to buy my product? Now, in this space, I want them to buy positivity around themselves as Black men. I want them to buy into that. And so I'm always thinking about the words that I say, because I know that they have power. I know that they might land on somebody different. And so how am I just making sure that every word that comes out of my mouth pours into somebody versus removes out? And I do, again, when I'm talking about my kids, man, I coach their baseball team. I be trying not to get on them. And then I catch myself like, hey, it's okay, man, good play. Next play, shake it off versus, come on, bro, what you doing, bro? We practice every day. Every day. You got, so being able to balance that out, understanding that it's an important thing for me to watch the words that I say and have them come out in a way that pours into somebody, doesn't beat them up.
No, yeah, that's facts, bro. I think a lot of times as Black men, we have, like, our inner voice can be very harsh.
Yeah.
I was just talking about this in an episode that I recorded where sometimes it can be from how we were raised, like having a harsh or critical parent or caregiver. But sometimes it's just society and also ourselves, you know what I'm saying? So like that can end up leading us to depression.
Yeah.
Some of those panic and stress attacks that you have because you feel like you can't handle what you've been given, or you feel like you're not good enough, or you can't forgive yourself. So I'm glad that you spoke to the importance of like what you speak about, like because it's important that we affirm ourselves and we validate ourselves, because we already have enough people in this world, in society, that are doing the complete opposite.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Absolutely.
you can't be this. You can't be on the opposite team with them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you have to be able to bring yourself up, uplift yourself, bro. Because if not, you're gonna be depressed out here.
Really.
That's what happened. That's what happened with me in 2017 when I was going through like that. I was going through a breakup during that time, and I felt like I made so many mistakes. Right, so I'm in the crib by myself, and anytime I'm alone, I'm just beating myself up. I'm repeating the same thing. Like, why did you do that? Why didn't you know to do this? Why were you this way? Why were you that way? Like, and I'm just repeating it over and over and over again. And it wasn't until I got to the point where I felt like, okay, I need to do something completely different, and started diving into like just learning a bunch of different things to take my mind off of what I was thinking, that I started to feel a little bit better. But I don't even recommend doing that, because you're not really dealing with the root issue,
Right.
which is your inner voice.
Right.
You don't know how to give yourself grace. You don't have self-forgiveness. Right. And when you don't have that level of self-forgiveness, when you don't know how to speak to yourself, you'll always be stuck in that version of yourself or the past version of yourself. Because you may have moved past that and grown, but if you can't forgive yourself, you can't fully step into that person. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I was at. It was like, I know better now, but I still can't forgive myself for what I did in the past. Yeah. And I've had conversations with Black men where it's like, yo, bro, like I'm not that same person and I want to be better. And I can tell like they're in that same period where I was at. And that's why I wanted to speak on like the words and how you speak, because it's very, very important, especially for us, bro. Like you can never really move forward when your inner critic is always trying to beat you up, bro.
Yeah, you gotta give yourself grace. With that, you gotta hold yourself accountable.
Yes,
but you have to give yourself grace. Because to your point, man, the world is out there to beat you up. That's what they do. Everybody's a hater. You can't hate yourself. You know what Chris Rock said on I think it was Tambourine, his not this past stand-up but the one before. Like he tells his kids like, look, in this house we love you. Once you walk out that door, nobody gives a fuck about you. Like straight, like that's exactly what he said. Nobody cares about you. But here in this house, your safe haven. Here we gonna love on you. We gonna care about you, so that way you can then go out into the world and take that abuse that they're going to give you, but you'll be okay. You're rooted in your excellence. You're rooted in how strong you are. But I think it's also really good to have, like, good friends, right? Good friends. People that you can lift the weight off and, like, let them carry it for a little bit, and then they'll help you get through it. Good friends. Not just niggas you fuck with. Like, good friends. And whether that's a spouse, a girlfriend, a homie, a best friend, you got to have somebody. Like, we can't go through the world alone. And so having those individuals, I think, is very important. That tribe.
Yeah, absolutely. That support system, right? Like that's what we developed in Safe Haven, right? We developed a support network of Black men. We have over 200 Black men inside of Safe Haven, and what we do inside of there is not only do we connect you with a therapist, a coach, a doctor if you need a doctor, right? But we also give you that support network so you're not going through that alone, right? Because that's very, very, very important. Like as you heal, you start to kind of see, dang, like I can't chill with homie from 6th grade anymore because he's still on the same BS that we were on at that age. And I have to keep on elevating and growing, and distance is being put between you and that person. And so it can become a lonely journey if you're trying to do it alone, right? And so we try to make sure that Black men know, like, yo, you don't have to do it alone, and you shouldn't do it alone. You need that support network and that support system. And so that's why when we bring people into Safe Haven, we have a platform where they can all get together and talk and support each other, bro, because that's important, man. Like that's very, very important. Yo, Dre, this has been an episode, bro. This has been a really amazing episode.
I appreciate you because I came in here heavy, but this has really allowed me to. I feel a lot better.
Yeah, it's therapeutic, bro.
Yeah, man.
You got to get it out. This is what I always tell people, right? Like, there's so many different ways in which you can like facilitate the healing process, right? I think for us as Black men, we get stuck feeling like we don't have a route that we can take, right? There's so many different ways. What we just did was, technically, in a sense, it was journaling. It was expressive writing in a sense, right? Like all you just did was kind of talk about your feelings.
Right.
That's all you did.
Right. And
through that, you were able to release through the tears, right? Which is important that we talk about the tears, right? Because I think a lot of times we've misunderstood what it means to cry as a Black man. We think it means that you're weak, right? Like there's a stigma around crying. But the science behind it is that when you're dealing with a lot, when you're dealing with a heavy emotion, it comes out through your tears. That's why you can cry when you're sad. You can cry when you're frustrated. You can cry when you're mad. You can cry when you're happy. Because when you're dealing with a heavy emotion, your body's natural response to get that emotion out is through your tears, right? And there's actually studies where you can look at the makeup, the chemical makeup of a tear in a microscope, and you can see based on what the situation was, that it has a different chemical makeup. Like if you're crying for onions, the chemical makeup is not going to be the same as crying for sadness. If you're crying for sadness, the chemical makeup is not going to be the same as crying for happiness, right? So those tears are a release. So I know you're going to go through the process. This is day one, right? Like you're going to have more days, right? I wanted to encourage you to don't hold the tears, bro. You know what I'm saying? Let those tears out, and then also express how you feel comfortable expressing. Because a lot of times as Black men, what we end up doing is not expressing at all. Right. You can't fall into that trap, right? Like whether it be writing, whether it be audio journaling, whether it be video journaling, because that's what we basically did, video journaling, whether it be art, music, talks, You know what I'm saying? Make sure that you get that out, bro. So yeah, man, the way we always end the episode is just you telling people anything that you have up, coming, anything that they can do to support you, where they can find you, how they can find more, all that kind of good stuff, bro.
You can find us firstly at blackmenswear.com. You see everything there. You see the Flash Mob tour. You'll see our brand partnerships. Upcoming Flash Mob tour, May 20th, Harlem weekend. That's going to be crazy. So looking forward to Harlem.
We got to talk about that.
Yeah, we do. We'll follow that up with London, July 2nd. Dallas, September 23rd. Atlanta, November 4th. Atlanta, we're doing Black Men Summit that weekend.
Ooh, in Atlanta?
Yeah, in Atlanta. Ooh. So we got the Flash Mob Saturday morning. We got the Summit Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening.
Okay.
And then finish the year off. Every year we in 305. Miami in December of this year for the tour. We've got some great brand partnerships. We've got a connection with Woodford Reserve. So we're fortunate enough to do Woodford Reserve 2 of their 5 activations for Derby Day where Black Menswear is curating. So a fun look here in Dallas and in LA. Our talent and our influencer roster, they're doing well. Some of our guys, we're definitely getting them the deals they deserve, getting them paid the compensation that they deserve. We've got a lot of new stuff that's cultivating and brewing right now. Developing a partnership with a nonprofit organization that basically can do work with us to do leave behind programming in each of these cities that we go to for the Flash Mob, so we can actually mobilize these guys to get into their communities and do things in their communities. Versus Flash Mob. Very high that day, the day of, and then once the campaign drops, then it kind of dies down. But what next steps, action steps, can we provide these guys? Like, we know what the struggle is, or not the struggle, but we know what the opportunity is to have more impact in our communities. Here it is.
Right.
Step up, right, and continue to cultivate that this year as well. 2023 is going to be a great year. It's already a great year going into Q2. But 2024, I'm already, again, planning. We're, and it's a great thing when you think about your business, when you're thinking about your 3 and your 5 year, versus just thinking about your current year. Yeah, that's how you know that you're on the right track. Because now there's no way I can quit before 2025 because we already have plans for 2025. Right. And so I'm just excited. I'm grateful. I'm extremely grateful. I'll say this to anybody that's out there that's thinking about like what to do, where to go. If you're not grounded and rooted in faith, you're going to always be thinking about where to go and what to do. For me, God has been amazing. And once I realized where I was and what I was doing, and I started focusing on what he wanted me to do and where he wanted me to go, life got a lot less stressful.
Man, we gonna end it on that note, bro, because that's exactly what they need to hear, bro. Dre, thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you, Kizza. Love, bro, for sure.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Express Yourself Black Man podcast. We really hope you gained some valuable insight on things you could do differently with your healing journey and with the black man in your life. If you found value in this episode, please leave us a review on whatever platform you listen or watch the podcast on. Your review is a free and easy way to support us, and it helps us reach more people like you. We're on a mission to build a stronger, more connected black community, starting with black men. And you can help us on that mission by taking a minute to leave a review. Your review helps us generate more listeners, which in turn generates more revenue, allowing us to expand our platform even further. And speaking of expansion, we're in the middle of that process right now with the Black Man Safe Haven. We're expanding the Safe Haven platform to add more benefits so we can continue to support the demand we've received from this audience. During this time, we've paused enrollment to Safe Haven, but we invite you to sign up for the wait list. Safe Haven is our holistic healing platform where we take the stress out of the healing journey for black men. In Safe Haven, we provide you or the black man you know with access to a black mental health professional so you can finally heal from the things you find it difficult to talk about, and you will receive support from over 200 black men that are all on their healing journey so you don't have to heal alone anymore. You'll also get access to weekly meditations led by wellness experts, support group sessions led by black therapists, a library of over 200 articles geared towards Black men's healing, masterclasses, and more. You can join the Safe Haven waitlist right now by going to www.expressyourselfblackman.com/safe-haven-waitlist or by clicking the link in the description of this podcast episode. Don't wait. Do not wait. We've had hundreds of signups for Safe Haven already, and we'll be opening enrollment soon. Due to capacity, we may not be able to service everyone, so don't hesitate to sign up now to secure your spot or the spot of a Black man you know as soon as enrollment opens. Thank you again for listening to the Express Yourself Black Man podcast. We'll be back soon with more dope episodes, and until then, take care of yourself first, then the people around you. Love y'all.
Sometimes I know you feel like you ain't got nobody to speak to. A shoulder to lean on somebody you could preach to. No, you need to hear it, my brother, I love you. We got way too much to live for. We got way too much to live